Athens. It is located in central Greece, known as the birthplace of democracy, because from 508 to 322 BC, there was a democratic system that governed the Athens, though it wasn't the first democratic institution since there was others in Greece centuries ago. The people of Athens made the laws, where the Athenian assembly, referred as the demos, represented the certain will of people. The government did relate to other civilizations such as Mesopotamia and Egypt. They all had a government that was concerned about their citizens, making sure their city and state was powerful and protective against other cities and states. They would both have certain meetings with the majority in order to vote. Also, they all shared the same language, religion, and developed their laws for government, ideas for science, philosophy, religion, and art. Though, the Athens accomplishment of the democratic system became the significant development. Then there is a modern accomplishment, democracy in the USA. The similarity that the US had with the Athens was that there was both a judicial system. Another similarity is that foreigners are still not allowed to vote unless a citizen. Difference is that Athens was a direct democracy, where a big group of people would gather and vote, making the decisions, as people in the US today have a representative democracy, where representatives are elected by people and they would have to accept the decisions, or was able to decline that law. There were juries, council members, and most of the city's executive officers selected by the entire citizen group to make votes equal. There was a citizen of government and a subject of government. Though, citizens were able to resist any particular law, having most of the power and votes, holding a public office. As the subjects, they had less power since they had to obey the laws. And it wasn't an option even if they did have privileges, the subjects only had a few. Though in the meantime, the Athenian law courts completed laws that would be better for all citizens. The modern accomplishment is that we now have presidents in our country, such as our president today, Barack Obama, the head of state and government that is part of the executive branch of the federal government, and is the commander-in-chief of the U.S. Armed Forces. It's similar, since there are laws that people would vote on, and the law would either be accepted or not. The difference is that instead of the vote going through by all the citizens and then the law being made so certainly by Congress, the president is responsible to carry out and to make sure to support the laws written by Congress. Though, the president has the power to either sign legislation into law or to veto bills acted by the Congress. To Athenians, a citizen was mostly given to the men, where they had full citizen and political rights. Women had citizen rights, though did not have political rights to vote and hold public office. They were mostly housewives who was in charge of their household duties and taking care of the family. They had limited access to society. Some housewives who were rich had slaves to do most of their work in their houses. Those who didn't have slaves had a lot of work they had to do themselves. Then there was a citizenship law that passed during 451 to 50 BC, introduced by a man named Pericles, who stated that only the offspring of 2 Athenian citizens could be citizens. The modern accomplishment was that there was a 19th Amendment that passed August 18, 1920, finally giving women the right to vote in the US even today. For generations, women suffrage supporters had wrote, marched, and practiced civil disobedience to achieve what the Americans believed as a radical change of the Constitution, which took them decades to accomplish their purpose. Also, to become a citizen, even if you weren't born in the US, you are now eligible to become one starting from the age of 18, taking a citizenship qualification quiz available through the U.S. and Immigration Services known as the USCIS. Required to take a civics test, English and writing skills. At the end, taking the oath of allegiance to the U.S., receiving a certificate of naturalization. When it comes to crimes, Athens had law courts with trial by jury. Juries were up to 500 citizens or more, where the jurors had to swear that they would be fair and listen to both sides equally. The prosecution would present their side of the story first, including their witnesses, then the defense would tell theirs. Jurors didn't discuss the case or deliberate it. They would vote as a majority ruled. If less than 100 jurors voted guilty, the prosecutor had to pay all jury fees and court costs. If the person was found guilty, there would be two punishments. Yes, two punishments, as the jury voted on which punishment to accept. A modern accomplishment was also the jury system in the USA. You had to be a citizen of the US and 18 years or older, not being convicted felon. Had testimonies in certain arguments by the attorneys that would be closed. Juries, though, they did have deliberations in a private room, as verdict of the jury was given to the court. Also, the juries today are less compared to the juries during the ancient times of Athens. Well, it all sums up that the Athenian government was relevant to our culture today. This is a 4 already here. Thank you all for watching.